Dr. Zixtal brushed the ancient dust from the stone tablet with her 4 delicate fingers. The alien scientist had been working in the ruins of Mortis Prime for 3 months, but this discovery made her blood run cold. She stepped back from the carved stone and called to her assistant. "Piptal, come here quickly," she said in her native language. The younger Velthari hurried over, his blue skin shimmering in the artificial light from their equipment. "What is it, Doctor?" Piptal asked, looking at the strange symbols carved deep into the black stone. "Run a full translation scan on this tablet. Use every language in our database," Zixtal ordered. Her voice shook slightly as she spoke. The scanning device hummed for several minutes. When it finished, the results appeared on their portable screen. Piptal read the translation and his large eyes grew even wider. "Doctor, this cannot be right. The machine shows the same message written in 17 different dead languages. All the extinct races that once lived in this sector of space left the same warning." Zixtal looked at the screen. The translation was clear and terrifying. The bipedal mammals of the 3rd planet in the Sol system must never be awakened from their great sleep. They are the destroyers. They are the enders. Let them dream eternal, lest the galaxy burn. "Send this data to the Galactic Council immediately," Zixtal commanded. "Mark it as urgent priority. Far across the galaxy, on a small blue planet called Earth, Captain Jake." Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Valiant. The human ship moved slowly through the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Jake was a tall man with brown hair and steady eyes. He had been commanding deep space missions for 5 years, but he had never traveled beyond the solar system that contained his home world. "Captain, we are picking up some strange readings from asteroid cluster 77 Alpha," reported his science officer, Lieutenant Amy Parker. She was a young woman with red hair who loved solving mysteries about space. "What kind of readings?" Jake asked, walking over to look at her screen. "Energy signatures that do not match anything in our database. The patterns are too regular to be natural, but too complex to be from our own equipment," Amy explained. Jake studied the data for a moment. For the past few months, several ships had reported similar strange readings from different parts of the solar system. The readings always appeared for a few minutes, then disappeared completely. "Log it in our report and continue the patrol," Jake decided. "Command will want to know about this." Deep beneath the surface of Earth, in the underground city of New Denver, Dr. Amy Parker's twin sister, Lisa Brown, worked in the massive shipyards that built humanity's space vessels. Lisa was an engineer who designed the engines that powered human ships through space. "The new fusion drive is ready for testing," Lisa reported to her supervisor, Dr. Ben Clark. Ben was an older man who had spent his whole career building better engines for human spacecraft. "Good work, Lisa. But I have been thinking about those energy readings the patrol ships keep finding. What if they are not natural phenomena?" Ben asked. Lisa stopped working on the engine components and looked at him. "What do you mean? What if someone else is out there watching us?" Ben said quietly. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. Humans had been searching for signs of alien life for centuries, but they had never found any proof that other intelligent species existed. On the bridge of the alien research vessel Keth Moran, Dr. Zixtal received an urgent message from the Galactic Council headquarters on Nexus Prime. The Council wanted her to return immediately to present her findings in person. 3 days later, Zixtal stood before the Great Assembly of the Galactic Council. Representatives from 847 different alien species filled the massive chamber. Elder Quintos of the Etherian Collective, a being of pure energy who appeared as a glowing blue form, spoke first. Dr. Zixtal, your report has caused great concern among the council members. Please explain what you found on Mortis Prime. Zixtal activated a holographic display that showed the ancient tablet. Honored council members, 17 different extinct civilizations left the same warning about the humans of Earth. Every single dead race that once lived near the Sol system carved these same words into stone before they disappeared from history. Commander Yargeth of the Kronos Empire, a large reptilian creature with sharp teeth, slammed his fist on his chair. This is nonsense. How can one primitive species be a threat to the entire galaxy? The humans have not even developed faster than light travel. They spend most of their time in virtual reality systems, hiding underground like frightened animals. That is exactly why these warnings exist, Elder Quintos replied. For 300 years we have carefully guided human development to keep them in this dormant state. We have prevented them from creating the technology they need to travel between the stars. We have done this because we knew about these ancient warnings. Pipsqueak of the Zephyrian Union, a small creature with large ears, raised his hand to speak. Pipsqueak was young and inexperienced, working as a junior analyst in the Council's monitoring department. Elder Quintos, if I may ask, what exactly do the warnings say will happen if the humans wake up from their great sleep? Zixtal touched her control device, and new images appeared in the holographic display. They showed the ruins of once great cities, empty worlds that had been stripped of all life, and the remains of massive space fleets floating dead in the void between stars. Every civilization that left these warnings was completely destroyed within 50 years of the humans' awakening. Not conquered, not defeated in battle, but totally eliminated from existence. Their worlds became lifeless rocks. Their fleets became space debris. Their entire species became extinct. The great chamber fell silent. Even Commander Yargeth stopped arguing and stared at the images of destruction. The warnings all say the same thing, Zixtal continued. The humans are not evil. They do not seek to destroy other species. But when they are threatened or provoked, they become something that no other race in the galaxy can survive against. The extinct civilizations called them persistence hunters and adaptation predators. They said humans never stop, never give up, and never fight the same way twice. Elder Quintos looked around the chamber at the hundreds of alien representatives. This is why we have maintained the monitoring stations around Earth for 3 centuries. This is why we have carefully influenced their technology development. This is why we must never let them know we exist. But Pipsqueak, who was still young and had not learned to be careful with dangerous technology, made a terrible mistake. While reviewing the data from the monitoring stations, he accidentally activated a deep space scanning pulse. The powerful energy beam shot across space toward Earth, penetrating the protective barriers that had hidden the alien monitoring equipment for centuries. On Earth, Amy Parker was working late in her laboratory when her instruments detected the alien scan. She stared at her screen in shock, watching energy patterns that were clearly artificial and definitely not human in origin. "My God," she whispered, "we are not alone." The sleeping giant was about to wake up. Amy Parker ran through the underground corridors of the Cheyenne Mountain Research Complex faster than she had ever run before. The alien energy scan had lasted exactly 4 minutes and 17 seconds, but those few minutes had changed everything. Humanity thought they knew about the universe. She burst into General Roy Adams' office without knocking. The general was a big man with gray hair who had spent 40 years preparing for threats that might never come. Now one of those threats had finally arrived. "General, you need to see this immediately," Amy said, placing her data pad on his desk. Her hands were shaking as she activated the display. Roy looked at the energy patterns on the screen. He had seen a lot of strange things in his career, but nothing like this. "Are you certain this is not one of our own signals?" "Absolutely certain, sir. The frequency patterns are completely unknown. The power levels are far beyond anything we can generate, and the scanning beam came from outside our solar system," Amy explained. Roy stood up and walked to his window, which looked out over the busy underground city. Millions of humans lived and worked in these protected spaces, safe from the radiation and storms that sometimes struck Earth's surface. They had been safe for 300 years. Now that safety was about to end. "How long before other people detect what you found?" Roy asked. "The scanning equipment needed to find this signal exists in 12 other research facilities around Earth. Someone else will discover it within hours, maybe less," Amy replied. Roy picked up his secure communication device and sent an urgent message to Captain Jake Morrison, who was still on patrol with the UES Valiant. Captain Jake received the message while his ship was refueling at Mars Station. He read the report twice, then called his senior officers to the bridge. Lieutenant Alex Stone, his security chief, was a tough woman who had fought in the resource wars that nearly destroyed human civilization 3 centuries ago. "Captain, are we really talking about first contact with alien life?" Alex asked after reading Amy's data. "It looks that way. General Adams wants us to return to Earth immediately for a full briefing," Jake replied. Maya Cruz, the ship's pilot, was a small woman with quick reflexes and an even quicker mind. She had been flying spacecraft since she was 18 years old. "Captain, if aliens have been watching us, why reveal themselves now? What changed?" Jake did not have an answer to that question, but he was about to find out. Back on Earth, news of the alien scans spread through the scientific community like wildfire. Dr. Ben Clark was working in his laboratory when he received Amy's data. He immediately called Lisa Brown to his office. "Lisa, look at these energy patterns. Have you ever seen anything like this before?" Ben asked. Lisa studied the information carefully. As an engineer, she understood energy systems better than most people. "Ben, whoever sent this scan has technology that is centuries ahead of ours, maybe thousands of years ahead." "That is what I was afraid you would say," Ben replied. Within 6 hours, the news had reached the highest levels of Earth's government. The president called an emergency meeting of the World Council. Military commanders, scientists, and political leaders gathered in the secure conference room beneath Geneva. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are facing a situation that humanity has never encountered before," the president announced. "We have confirmed evidence that an alien intelligence has been observing our planet." The room erupted in worried voices and urgent questions. General Adams stood up to address the assembly. "Based on our analysis, this was not a greeting or an attempt to communicate. This was a deep space scan designed to gather information about our technology and capabilities. Someone out there has been watching us, and they just took a much closer look." Dr. Amy Parker, who had been invited to brief the council, activated a large display screen. The scanning beam was incredibly sophisticated. It penetrated our planetary defenses and mapped our major cities, military installations, and space facilities in just 4 minutes. "What does this mean for Earth's security?" asked the defense minister. "It means we are no longer hidden," Amy replied. "Whatever civilization sent this scan now knows exactly what we are capable of. They know our strengths and our weaknesses. The World Council debated their response. Something unexpected was happening in the underground cities where most humans lived. The news of alien contact was spreading through the internet and communication networks. Instead of panic, many people felt excitement. Instead of fear, they felt curiosity. For 3 centuries, humans had lived quiet lives in their protected cities. They worked in virtual reality environments, learned through computer simulations, and rarely ventured beyond their own solar system. But the knowledge that aliens existed awakened something deep in the human mind. In New York Underground, a group of young engineers led by Tony White began studying Amy's data. If aliens have this level of technology, we need to develop our own defenses quickly, Tony announced to his team. But we don't even know how their technology works, protested Kate Miller, a psychologist who studied human behavior during crises. Then we learn, Tony replied. Humans have always been good at figuring out how things work. Meanwhile, in the Martian shipyards, Lisa Brown was having similar thoughts. She gathered her engineering team and began working on modifications to human spacecraft. If aliens could scan Earth from across the galaxy, humans needed ships that could travel those same distances. Captain Jake Morrison arrived at Earth 3 days after Amy's discovery. He met with General Adams in the underground command center that coordinated all of humanity's space activities. Jake, we need you to take the Valiant on a special mission, Roy explained. We are going to send a small team to investigate the source of that alien scan. General, our ships are not designed for travel beyond the solar system. We do not have faster-than-light technology, Jake pointed out. We do now, Roy replied, leading Jake to a secure laboratory. In the lab, Ben Clark and Lisa Brown were putting finishing touches on a device that looked like nothing Jake had ever seen before. It was a strange combination of human engineering and technology that had been reverse-engineered from the alien scanning beam. Captain Morrison, meet humanity's first faster-than-light communication system, Ben announced proudly. We analyzed the alien scan and figured out how they transmitted information across such vast distances. It took us 3 days to build our own version. Lisa Brown activated the device, and instantly, signals from distant star systems appeared on their screens. We can now communicate with any point in the galaxy in real time, she explained. If we can communicate faster than light, we can travel faster than light, Ben added. Give us 2 more weeks, and we will have a working FTL drive. Jake stared at the device in amazement. 3 days ago, humans thought they were alone in the universe. Now they were about to become an interstellar species. But Jake did not know that their breakthrough had been detected by the same alien monitoring systems that had been watching Earth for centuries. On Nexus Prime, Elder Quintos received an urgent report from the monitoring stations. The humans have developed faster-than-light communication, reported the station commander. They accomplished in 3 days what most species take decades to achieve. Elder Quintos felt a deep sense of dread. The ancient warnings were beginning to come true. The humans were awakening from their great sleep, and they were doing it faster than anyone had expected. Send word to all council members, Elder Quintos commanded. Emergency session. The containment protocol has failed. The humans are active again. On Earth, Jake Morrison looked at his crew as they prepared for humanity's first journey beyond the solar system. Amy Parker would serve as his science officer. Alex Stone would handle security. Maya Cruz would pilot their modified ship. Are you ready to meet our neighbors? Jake asked his team. Captain, I think our neighbors have been watching us for a very long time, Amy replied. The question is, are they ready to meet us? 2 weeks later, the UES Retribution, equipped with humanity's new faster-than-light drive, left Earth's orbit and headed for the stars. The sleeping giant was fully awake now, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. The UES Retribution dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Kepler Station, humanity's first destination beyond the solar system. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, looking at the alien structure through the main viewing screen. The station was beautiful and strange, built from materials that seemed to glow with their own inner light. "Captain, we are receiving a transmission from the station," reported Amy Parker from her science station. "Put it on the main screen," Jake ordered. The image of Commander Hexandra appeared before them. She was unlike anything the humans had ever imagined. Her body was tall and thin, with skin that looked like polished silver. Her large eyes held an expression of sadness and fear. "Human vessel, I am Commander Hexandra of the Luminari species. I welcome you to Kepler Station, though I wish our meeting could happen under different circumstances," she said in perfect English. "Commander Hexandra, I am Captain Jake Morrison of Earth. We come in peace, seeking answers about why your people have been monitoring our world," Jake replied. "Please dock your ship with our station, Captain Morrison. There are things you must understand about the galaxy and your place in it," Hexandra said. Jake turned to his security chief, Lieutenant Alex Stone. Alex was checking her weapons and scanning equipment. "What do you think, Alex?" "The station's weapons are not powered up, and their energy signatures suggest they are designed for defense, not attack. I think they really do want to talk," Alex replied. Maya Cruz, the pilot, guided the Retribution to dock with the alien station. As the human crew prepared to board Kepler Station, Jake felt the weight of history on his shoulders. He was about to become the first human to set foot on an alien structure. The airlock opened, and the humans stepped into a corridor filled with soft, warm light. Commander Hexandra was waiting for them, along with several other aliens that Jake did not recognize. One was covered in blue scales and had 4 arms. Another looked like a walking tree with eyes. "Captain Morrison, allow me to introduce Dr. Zixtal of the Velthari, who made a discovery that concerns your species," Hexandra said, gesturing to the blue-scaled alien. Dr. Zixtal stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Captain, I must show you something that will be difficult to understand, but which explains why the Galactic Council has been monitoring Earth for 3 centuries. She led the humans to a large chamber filled with holographic displays. With a wave of her hand, the ancient stone tablet from Mortis Prime appeared before them, along with translations in 17 different languages. Amy Parker read the warning. Aloud, "The bipedal mammals of the 3rd planet in the Sol system must never be awakened from their great sleep. They are the destroyers. They are the enders. Let them dream eternal, lest the galaxy burn." Jake looked at the warning for a long moment, then began to laugh. The sound echoed through the chamber, causing the aliens to step back nervously. "You have been watching us for centuries because of this warning?" Jake asked, still chuckling. "You have been keeping us contained like dangerous animals because some extinct races were afraid of us?" "Captain Morrison, you do not understand," Hexandra said urgently. 17 different civilizations left this same warning before they were completely destroyed. Every single race that lived near your solar system was eliminated from existence after humans became active in space. "And you think we destroyed them?" Jake asked, his laughter stopping. Dr. Zixtal activated another display that showed the ruins of dead worlds. The evidence suggests that when humans are awakened from their dormant state, they become something that no other species can survive against. You are persistence hunters, adaptation predators. You never stop, never give up, and never fight the same way twice. Amy Parker studied the data carefully. As a scientist, she could see patterns that others might miss. Captain, these civilizations were not destroyed by human aggression. They were destroyed by their own fear of human unpredictability. What do you mean? Hexandra asked. Look at the time patterns, Amy explained, pointing to the holographic timeline. In every case, the alien species attacked humans first. They tried to destroy Earth before humans could become a threat. But their attacks failed, and humans responded with total war. Jake nodded slowly. You have been watching us, studying us, keeping us contained. Did you really think we would just go back to sleep once we knew the truth? Before anyone could answer, alarms began sounding throughout the station. A new voice spoke over the communication system. All vessels. This is Commander Yargeth of the Kronos Empire 4th Fleet. The human ship will surrender immediately and return to their home system, or we will destroy them. Through the station's viewing ports, Jake could see a fleet of alien warships approaching. The ships were large and heavily armed, with hulls that looked like they were designed for battle. Commander Hexandra, we need to return to our ship immediately, Jake said. Captain Morrison, please, let us try to negotiate with Commander Yargeth. The Kronos Empire acts without council approval. This is not what we wanted, Hexandra pleaded, but it was too late. Energy beams from the Kronos ships struck the station's shields, causing the entire structure to shake. Jake and his crew ran back to the Retribution as more weapons fire lit up the space around them. Maya, get us out of here now, Jake ordered as they reached the bridge. The Kronos ships are trying to surround us, Captain. They are faster than us and have more firepower, Maya reported as she fired up the ship's engines. Lieutenant Alex Stone was already at the weapons console, analyzing the enemy ships. Captain, these aliens fight like they are following a textbook. Their attack patterns are predictable and rigid. Then we do not fight like a textbook, Jake replied. Maya, full power to engines. Take us straight at their flagship. Captain, that is suicide, Amy protested. No, that is something they will not expect, Jake answered. The Retribution accelerated directly toward the largest Kronos ship. Commander Yargeth, watching from his bridge, could not believe what he was seeing. The humans are attacking us directly? Do they not understand that we outnumber them 5-1? Yargeth asked his tactical officer. Sir, their ship is much smaller than ours. Perhaps they are trying to ram us, the officer replied. Impossible. No species would sacrifice their ship in such a manner, Yargeth decided. But Jake Morrison was not planning to ram the enemy ship. At the last possible moment, Maya crews pulled the Retribution into a spinning dive that took them under the Kronos flagship. Alex Stone fired their weapons at the enemy ship's weapon systems, disabling several gun turrets. Their shields are designed to protect against attacks from the front and sides, not from underneath, Alex reported. I can take out their weapons if we stay in their blind spot. The Kronos fleet tried to turn to follow the human ship, but Maya was flying the Retribution in patterns that made no sense to alien military computers. She would accelerate toward one ship, then suddenly change direction and attack another. She would dive below the enemy formation, then climb above it and attack from a completely different angle. How are they moving like that? Yargeth demanded. Their ship should not be able to change direction so quickly. Sir, they appear to be ignoring standard combat doctrine completely, They are fighting like wild animals, his tactical officer replied. Within minutes, the Retribution had disabled 3 Kronos ships and damaged 2 others. The human ship had taken some damage, but it was still fully operational. This is impossible, Yargeth muttered, as he watched his superior force being outfought by a single human vessel. Jake opened a communication channel to the Kronos flagship. Commander Yargeth, this is Captain Morrison. Your ships are damaged, and your weapons are offline. Withdraw, now or we will finish what you started. For the first time in his military career, Commander Yargeth found himself retreating from a smaller enemy force. As his damaged fleet limped away from Kepler Station, he sent an urgent message to the Galactic Council. The humans are everything. The ancient warnings said they would be. They fight with tactics we cannot predict or counter. They adapt to our strategies faster than we can change them. And they show no fear, even when outnumbered. Back on the station, Commander Hexandra watched the human ship dock again. Jake Morrison and his crew had just defeated a superior force using methods that violated every rule of space combat known to the galaxy. Captain Morrison, what happens now? Hexandra asked when the humans returned to the station. Now we go. Home and tell our people that we are not alone in the universe, Jake replied, and that some of our neighbors are not very friendly. Captain, the Council will try to stop you. They will send more ships, bigger fleets, Hexandra warned. Jake looked at her with steady eyes. Commander, you have been studying us for 3 centuries. You should know by now that humans do not give up easily. As the Retribution prepared to return to Earth, Amy Parker was already analyzing the data she had gathered from the alien ships. Within hours, she would understand how their weapons worked, how their shields operated, and how their engines functioned. The sleeping giant was not just awake now, it was angry. 6 months after the battle at Kepler Station, Earth was no longer the quiet planet it had been for 3 centuries. The underground cities buzzed with activity as millions of humans worked day and night to prepare for war. General Roy Adams stood in the main command center, watching reports come in from across the solar system. General, the Mars shipyards report that the first 10 ships of the new fleet are ready for testing, announced Colonel Pete Johnson, a veteran officer who had been promoted to lead humanity's 2nd fleet. What about the new weapons systems? Roy asked. Dr. Ben Clark approached with a datapad in his hands. The alien technology we captured from the Kronos ships has been completely reverse-engineered. Lisa Brown's team has improved their shield designs by 40%. Tony White's weapons group has developed energy cannons that are twice as powerful as the Kronos versions. Amy Parker, who had been promoted to Chief Science Officer for the Terran Defense Force, joined the conversation. General, we have made a discovery about alien psychology that changes everything. What kind of discovery? Roy asked. Most galactic species evolved from prey animals. They think defensively, they avoid risks, and they follow rigid hierarchies. Humans evolved from persistence hunters. We think offensively, we take calculated risks, and we adapt our strategies constantly, Amy explained. In simple terms, General, we think like predators and they think like prey, added Dr. Kate Miller, who had been studying captured alien communications. This gives us a massive advantage in combat situations. The advantage was about to be tested. Captain Jake Morrison, now promoted to Admiral, stood on the bridge of the UES Devastator, the most powerful ship humanity had ever built. His fleet of 50 vessels was approaching the Kronos Empire's forward base at Wolf Station. Admiral, we are detecting 300 enemy ships in the system, reported his tactical officer. 300 against 50. I like those odds, Jake replied with a grin. Captain Maya Cruz, now commanding her own ship, the UES Nemesis, spoke over the communication system. "Admiral, all ships report ready for combat. Remember the plan," Jake announced to his fleet. "We do not fight their kind of battle. We fight our kind of battle." The Kronos defenders were arranged in a massive defensive formation exactly as their military manuals prescribed. Admiral Grextor, commanding the station, was confident that no force could break through such a well-organized defense. "The humans have only 50 ships against our 300. They will be destroyed quickly," Grextor told his officers, but the human attack did not come from the direction the aliens expected. Instead of approaching the station directly, the human fleet split into 10 groups of 5 ships each. Each group attacked from a different angle, forcing the Kronos defenders to divide their attention and firepower. "How are they coordinating? So many separate attacks?" Grextor demanded as his defensive formation began to fall apart. "Sir, each human group is operating independently, but they are all working toward the same goal. It is like watching a pack of hunters surround prey," his tactical officer replied. Captain Pete Johnson led one of the human attack groups against the station's communication array. His 5 ships moved in perfect coordination, like dancers performing a deadly ballet. They destroyed the alien communication system in less than 3 minutes. "Target eliminated. Moving to secondary objective," Pete reported to Admiral Morrison. Across the battlefield, similar scenes were playing out. Human ships attacked supply depots, command centers, and weapon platforms. The aliens found themselves fighting 10 different battles at once, unable to coordinate their responses because their communications had been destroyed. "This is not how space battles are supposed to work," Grextor said as he watched his superior force being systematically dismantled. Captain Maya Cruz brought her ship, the Nemesis, directly against the station's main weapons platform. The alien guns were powerful, but they were designed to fight other aliens who followed predictable attack patterns. Maya did not follow predictable patterns. She flew her ship in a corkscrew pattern that brought her closer to the station with each turn. The alien gunners could not track her movement because it made no sense according to their combat computers. "Target their weapon control center," Maya ordered her weapons officer. "One precise shot." The Nemesis fired a single energy beam that penetrated the station's shields and destroyed the main weapons control room. Suddenly, half of the station's guns went silent. Within 2 hours, the battle was over. Wolf Station had fallen, and the Kronos Empire had lost 60 ships. The human fleet had lost only 3 vessels. Admiral Grextor, his ship disabled and drifting, sent a message to his commanders. "The humans do not fight like any species we know. They move like liquid mercury, striking where we are weakest, adapting faster than we can respond. Our training and tactics are useless against them." The news of the human victory spread quickly through the galaxy. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council met in emergency session. Elder Quintos addressed the assembly with a voice full of fear. "The humans have captured 3 star systems in 6 months. They are not conquering territory or enslaving populations. They are systematically destroying our ability to coordinate military responses." Commander Yargeth, who had barely survived his first encounter with humans, stood to address the council. "Honored members, the humans are everything the ancient warnings predicted. They do not fight for territory or resources. They fight to eliminate threats to their survival. What do you recommend?" asked Elder Quintos. "Immediate surrender and negotiation," Yargeth replied. "Every day we continue this war, more species will be destroyed." But not all council members agreed. The Vorthak Empire, a race of warrior, Aliens saw an opportunity in the chaos. Ambassador Krexel spoke for his people. The humans are powerful, but they are still few in number. If we ally with them, we can share in their conquests and gain access to their superior technology. This split in the council gave humans the opening they needed. Several smaller species, terrified of being caught between two powerful forces, began secretly negotiating with human representatives. Back on Earth, Tony White was working with a team of engineers to develop new technologies based on captured alien equipment. We have identified weaknesses in 17 different alien ship designs, he reported to General Adams. Our psychological warfare division has also made progress, added Dr. Kate Miller. We have learned that most alien species respond to fear and authority in predictable ways. We can use this to break their will to fight without destroying their entire fleets. The effectiveness of these new approaches was demonstrated when Admiral Morrison's fleet encountered a large alien force in the Centauri system. Instead of attacking immediately, the humans broadcast a message to the enemy fleet. This is Admiral Jake Morrison of the Terran Defense Force. You have entered a system under human protection. You have two choices: withdraw immediately or be destroyed like the Kronos fleets at Wolf Station. The message was accompanied by footage of the battle at Wolf Station, showing human ships destroying alien vessels with frightening efficiency. Half of the alien fleet immediately turned around and left the system. The other half, commanded by species that valued honor over survival, prepared to fight. The battle lasted only 40 minutes. When it was over, the human fleet had captured 12 alien ships intact and destroyed 18 others. More importantly, word of human mercy began to spread through the galaxy. Species that surrendered were not enslaved or destroyed, but were offered partnership and protection. Dr. Amy Parker, now working directly with alien refugees and prisoners, made an important discovery. Admiral, most of these species are not our enemies by choice. They have been controlled by the rigid hierarchy of the Galactic Council for centuries. Many of them want freedom as much as we want security. This realization changed human strategy completely. Instead of simply defeating alien fleets, they began liberating alien populations. Human ships would destroy military targets while broadcasting messages of freedom and alliance to civilian populations. The psychological impact was devastating to the old galactic order. Species that had been suppressed for centuries began to rebel against their own governments. Planets declared independence from the Galactic Council and requested human protection. On Nexus Prime, Elder Quintos watched his ancient empire crumble. The rigid hierarchy that had maintained peace for 1,000 years was falling apart, destroyed not by human weapons, but by human ideas. How do we fight an enemy that offers freedom instead of conquest? He asked his advisors. We cannot, replied Dr. Zixtal, who had been studying human behavior since first contact. The humans are not trying to build an empire. They are trying to build an alliance of free peoples. Every species they liberate becomes stronger, not weaker. As Admiral Morrison's fleet approached the outer systems of Nexus Prime, he received a message from Captain Maya Cruz. Her ship, the Nemesis, was leading a desperate mission to the heart of the old galactic capital. Admiral, we are about to find out if humans really are the destroyers that the ancient warnings predicted, Maya said. The final battle for the galaxy was about to begin. The final battle for the galaxy took place in the Nexus system, where the combined fleets of 200 alien species waited for Admiral Jake Morrison's human armada. Elder Quintos stood on the bridge of the massive council flagship, watching. his sensors as 50 human ships approached. "Only 50 ships against our entire fleet," said Commander Grextal, who had replaced the defeated Grextor. "They cannot possibly believe they can win." Elder Quintos was not so confident. He had studied every human battle for the past year, and he knew that humans did not think like other species. "Prepare all ships for combat, but be ready for anything. Humans never fight the same battle twice." Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Devastator, looking at the massive alien fleet through the main viewing screen. His tactical officers were reporting numbers that should have been terrifying. "Admiral, we count over 3,000 enemy ships. They have us outnumbered 60-1, reported Captain Amy Parker, who served as his fleet science officer. "Those are good odds for us," Jake replied calmly. "Maya, signal all ships. Execute battle plan Persistence." Captain Maya Cruz, commanding the UES Nemesis, smiled when she heard the order. Battle plan. Persistence was the most aggressive strategy in human military doctrine. It required every ship to act independently while maintaining overall coordination. "All ships. This is Captain Cruz. Remember what we learned from our ancestors. We are persistence hunters. We never stop, we never give up, and we never fight fair." The human fleet suddenly broke apart into individual ships, each one heading in a different direction. To the alien observers, it looked like the humans had panicked and were running away. "They are fleeing," announced Commander Grextal. "All ships, pursue and destroy them." But Elder Quintos felt a deep sense of dread. "No, this is not retreat. This is the beginning of something else." The alien fleet, designed for massive coordinated battles, tried to chase 50 individual human ships that were moving in seemingly random directions. Within minutes, the perfect alien formation had become scattered chaos. That was when the humans struck back. Each human ship had been equipped with Dr. Amy Parker's new swarm doctrine technology. Instead of fighting as a single fleet, they fought as a coordinated pack of hunters. When one human ship engaged an alien vessel, 2 or 3 other human ships would appear from different directions to help. Captain Pete Johnson, commanding the UES Retribution, demonstrated the tactic perfectly. His ship attacked a group of Kronos vessels from the front, drawing their attention and firepower. While the aliens focused on him, Captain Tony White's ship, the UES Defiance, attacked from the side, and Captain Lisa Brown's ship, the UES Innovation, attacked from above. "How are they coordinating these attacks without using communication channels?" demanded Commander Grextal as he watched 3 of his ships get destroyed in less than 2 minutes. "They are not coordinating through technology," Elder Quintos replied with growing understanding. "They are coordinating through instinct. They think like a pack of predators." The psychological impact of the human tactics was even more devastating than the physical damage. Alien crews, trained to fight in large organized formations, found themselves isolated and outnumbered by small groups of human ships that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. Captain Maya Cruz led the most dangerous mission of the battle. Her ship, the Nemesis, headed directly for the Council flagship, where Elder Quintos commanded the alien fleet. "Captain, we are taking heavy fire from multiple directions," reported her weapons officer. "Keep moving. Do not let them predict our course," Maya ordered as her ship weaved between energy beams and missile volleys. The Nemesis was badly damaged, but Maya kept pushing forward. She had volunteered for this mission because she knew it would probably be a one-way trip. Her job was not to destroy the enemy flagship, but to deliver a message that would change the galaxy. "Captain, we have lost main engines and weapons are offline," her engineering officer reported. Then we deliver the message now, Maya decided. She opened a communication channel to every ship in the battle, both human and alien. Her voice was, "Broadcast across the entire Nexus system. This is Captain Maya Cruz of the human ship Nemesis. We did not want this war. You forced it on us by treating us like prisoners in our own system. You watched us, studied us, and kept us contained because you were afraid of what we might become." The battle slowed as ships on both sides listened to her words. "But we are not here to destroy you. We are not here to conquer your worlds or enslave your peoples. We are here to free you from the same fear that has controlled you for centuries." Elder Quintos, listening from his flagship, finally understood what the ancient warnings had really meant. The extinct civilizations had not been destroyed by human aggression. They had been destroyed by their own fear of human unpredictability. "The humans are not the destroyers," he whispered to his officers. "We are." Maya's ship was dying around her, but she continued speaking. "Every species in this fleet has the right to choose their own path. You do not have to follow the orders of the Council if those orders go against your conscience. You do not have to fight us if you do not want to fight." The effect was immediate and dramatic. Ships from 17 different species stopped firing and began moving away from the battle. Their commanders were making individual decisions to withdraw, something that had never happened in a Council fleet before. "This is impossible," Commander Grextall said as he watched his carefully organized fleet fall apart. "Species do not act independently. They follow the hierarchy." "Not anymore," Elder Quintos replied. The battle ended not with a massive explosion or a final charge, but with a simple communication from Elder Quintos to Admiral Morrison. "Admiral Morrison, this is Elder Quintos of the Galactic Council. I request immediate ceasefire and negotiation. We surrender." Jake Morrison, who had expected to fight to the death, was surprised by the sudden end to the conflict. "Elder Quintos, are you certain? Your fleet still outnumbers mine." "Admiral, you have already won. Not through superior firepower, but through superior ideas. You have shown our people something they had forgotten, the possibility of choice." The war ended, but the real work was just beginning. On Nexus Station, representatives from hundreds of species gathered to create a new form of galactic government. Instead of the rigid hierarchy of the old Council, they established the Terran Galactic Compact. Admiral Morrison, now serving as Director of Galactic Relations, worked with Elder Quintos to design a system where every species had an equal voice. Dr. Amy Parker led the new scientific exchange program, where human adaptability combined with alien knowledge to create technologies that benefited everyone. Captain Maya Cruz had survived the crash of her ship and was recovered by alien rescue teams. She now served as an ambassador, teaching other species about human concepts of individual freedom and cooperative independence. The Kronos Empire, led by the reformed commander Yargeth, became one of humanity's strongest allies. "We spent centuries trying to create perfect order," Yargeth explained to his people. "The humans showed us that controlled chaos is more powerful than rigid structure." Dr. Ben Clark and Lisa Brown established the first multi-species engineering consortium, where alien scientists worked alongside human inventors to solve problems that had plagued the galaxy for millennia. 5 years after the end of the war, Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of Nexus Station, watching ships from hundreds of different species working together in ways the old Council had never imagined. The galaxy was more chaotic than before, but it was also more alive, more creative, and more free. Elder Quintos joined him at the observation window. Director Morrison, do you ever wonder what the galaxy would have been like if we had never tried to contain your species? Jake smiled. Elder Quintos, I think it would have been exactly like this, but we would have gotten here 3 centuries sooner. Perhaps that is the real lesson of the ancient warnings, Quintos replied. The humans were never the destroyers. They were the liberators. But they could only liberate others after they had been freed themselves. In the Galactic Archives, a new entry was being written by Dr. Zixtal, who had become the official historian of the compact. Her words would be preserved for future civilizations to read. The humans have awakened, and the universe will never be the same. They do not destroy civilizations. They revolutionize them. They do not conquer peoples. They inspire them to conquer themselves. The ancient warnings were wrong. The humans are not the end of galactic civilization. They are its new beginning. Throughout the galaxy, on worlds that had been silent for centuries, new voices began to speak. Species that had been suppressed by the old order started to explore, to create, and to dream of possibilities they had never imagined. The sleeping giant had awakened, and instead of bringing darkness to the stars, it had brought the dawn of a new age. The universe had warned never to wake the humans, but now the universe was grateful that someone had been brave enough to ignore that warning. The age of human expansion had begun, and with it, the age of galactic freedom. 10 years had passed since the formation of the Terran Galactic Compact, and the galaxy was discovering what it truly meant to have humans as neighbors. Director Jake Morrison walked through the bustling corridors of New Nexus Station, watching. Aliens and humans work side by side on projects that would have been impossible under the old council system. Director Morrison, we have a problem, announced Dr. Amy Parker as she hurried to catch up with him. She carried a data pad that displayed star charts showing the outer rim of the galaxy. What kind of problem, Amy? Jake asked, stopping to look at her information. Long-range sensors have detected something moving toward our galaxy from deep space. It's big, it's artificial, and it's been traveling for thousands of years, Amy explained, highlighting a massive object on her display. Jake studied the readings carefully. The object was larger than most space stations, but it moved with purpose and direction. How long before it reaches the outer systems? 6 months, maybe less. Jake, this thing is the size of a small moon, and it's heading straight for Earth, Amy replied. Within hours, representatives from every member species of the Compact gathered in the main assembly hall. Elder Quintos, now serving as the Compact's historical advisor, stood before the assembled delegates with a worried expression. Honored members, what approaches our galaxy may be connected to the ancient warnings about humanity? Our oldest records speak of watchers from beyond who were supposed to return when the humans awakened, Quintos announced. Captain Maya Cruz, who had been promoted to head of Compact Security, activated a holographic display showing the approaching object. Whatever this thing is, it's not responding to our communication attempts. It just keeps coming toward us at a steady speed. Dr. Ben Clark, now leading the Compact's Technology Development Division, had been analyzing data from the object for days. The energy signatures are unlike anything we've seen before. This civilization is far more advanced than anything in our galaxy, including the humans. How much more advanced? Asked Commander Yargeth, who represented the former Kronos Empire. In the Compact Assembly, their technology appears to be at least 10,000 years ahead of ours, maybe more. Ben replied grimly. The news sent waves of fear through many of the alien delegates. Species that had lived in terror of human unpredictability now faced something that made humans look primitive by comparison. But Jake Morrison was not afraid. He stood up and addressed the assembly with the same calm confidence he had shown during the war years. Members of the Compact, we face this challenge the same way we have faced every other challenge. Together, we combine our strengths, we adapt to new circumstances, and we find solutions that none of us could achieve alone. Captain Pete Johnson, commanding the Compact's 1st Defense Fleet, raised his hand to speak. Director Morrison, our combined fleets include over 5,000 ships from 200 different species. But if this object is as advanced as Dr. Clark believes, our weapons may be useless against it. Then we do not fight it with weapons, Jake replied. We try to understand it first. Dr. Kate Miller, who had become the Compact's chief psychologist, had been studying the historical records about the mysterious Watchers. Director Morrison, I believe this object may not be hostile. The ancient texts suggest that the Watchers were observers, not conquerors. Observers of what? Asked Elder Quintos. Of us. Of how different species develop and interact. The Watchers may have been waiting to see what would happen when humans became active in galactic society, Kate explained. As the mysterious object drew closer to the galaxy, more details became visible. It was not a ship in any traditional sense, but rather a massive structure that seemed to have been built by combining technology from dozens of different civilizations. Lisa Brown, working with a team of engineers from 15 different species, made an important discovery about the object's construction. This thing was not built by one species. I can identify technological elements from at least 30 different civilizations, some of which are millions of years old. It's like a museum, added Tony White, who had been studying the object's energy patterns. Or maybe a library. This could be a repository of knowledge from every advanced civilization that ever existed. The breakthrough came when Dr. Amy Parker realized that the object was not trying to communicate with them using traditional methods. Instead, it was broadcasting complex mathematical equations that described the fundamental laws of physics. It's testing us, Amy announced to the emergency council meeting. The object is sending us puzzles to solve. If we can solve them, it might establish communication with us. The entire Compact mobilized to solve the alien puzzles. Human mathematicians worked with Etherian energy specialists. Velthari archaeologists collaborated with Zephyrian computer experts. For the first time in galactic history, hundreds of species combined their knowledge to tackle a single problem. Captain Maya Cruz was aboard the UES Harmony, leading a small fleet toward the mysterious object when the first breakthrough occurred. The combined teams had solved 17 of the mathematical puzzles, and suddenly the object began responding. Captain Cruz, we are receiving a transmission, reported her communications officer. It's not in any language we recognize, but it's definitely artificial. The message was forwarded to every research station in the galaxy. Within hours, teams of linguists, mathematicians, and computer specialists were working to decode the alien transmission. Dr. Zixtal, working with human, cryptographer Sarah Lee, made the first successful translation. The message was simple but profound. Greetings to the species that have learned to work as one. We have been waiting for you to mature. Jake Morrison was in his office when Amy Parker burst in with the full translation of the alien message. Her hands were shaking as she read from her datapad. Jake, they call themselves the Gardeners. They have been watching our galaxy for millions of years, waiting for the species here to develop past tribal conflicts and work together for common goals. And we just did that when we formed the Compact, Jake realized. Exactly. The Gardeners say they have been traveling from galaxy to galaxy, helping young civilizations learn to cooperate instead of destroying each other. They want to share their knowledge with us. The formal first contact between the Gardeners and the Compact took place 3 weeks later. The Gardner vessel, which they called the Archive, docked with New Nexus Station using technology that seemed like magic to even the most advanced Compact scientists. The Gardner representative was unlike anything anyone had expected. It appeared to be made of living light, constantly shifting between different forms and colors. It communicated through direct thought transmission, speaking to each species in their own language simultaneously. "I am known as the Curator," the being announced to the assembled Compact leadership. "We have observed your galaxy through many cycles of development. Most species destroy themselves before they learn to truly cooperate. You are only the third galaxy we have found where different species learn to work together." Elder Quintos stepped forward to speak for the Compact. "Honored Curator, we have achieved this cooperation because of the humans. They showed us that rigid hierarchy was not the only way to organize galactic society." The Curator's form shimmered with what might have been amusement. The humans were indeed the catalyst for change, but every species in your Compact contributed to the final outcome. The humans provided the spark, but all of you built the fire. Over the following months, the Gardeners began sharing their vast knowledge with the Compact. They taught new forms of energy manipulation, advanced medical techniques, and methods for traveling between galaxies. But more importantly, they shared the wisdom they had gained from observing thousands of civilizations. The greatest discovery, the Curator told Jake Morrison during one of their private conversations, is that cooperation is more powerful than competition. Most species learn this too late, after they have already destroyed themselves. Your Compact learned it just in time. Jake looked out at the stars through his office window. Somewhere out there, human ships were working with alien crews to explore new worlds and make new discoveries. The galaxy had become a place of infinite possibility. "Curator, what happens next? Do we join some kind of galactic federation of advanced civilizations?" "No, Director Morrison. You become the teachers for the next galaxy that is ready to learn. The greatest gift of knowledge is passing it on to others who need it." As the first year of contact with the Gardeners ended, Jake Morrison realized that humanity's greatest adventure was still ahead of them. They had awakened not just to rule their own galaxy, but to help other galaxies awaken as well. The universe had warned never to wake the humans, but now the universe was grateful that they had awakened just in time to become its Gardeners. 5 years after first contact with the Gardeners, Director Jake Morrison stood in the command center of the UES Pioneer, humanity's first intergalactic exploration vessel. Through the massive viewing screen, he could see the spiral arms of the Andromeda Galaxy growing larger as they approached. "Director, we are receiving the distress signal again," reported Captain Lisa Brown, who now commanded the Pioneer's communications array. "The signal is definitely artificial, and it's coming from a system near the galaxy's outer edge." Dr. Amy Parker, serving as the mission's chief scientist, studied her instruments with concern. "Jake, the energy readings from that system are off the charts. Whatever is happening there involves weapons technology far beyond what most civilizations should possess." The Pioneer was not traveling alone. A fleet of 50 ships from 20 different compact species accompanied the human vessel on humanity's first mission as galactic teachers. The Curator, the Gardener representative, maintained a constant presence aboard the flagship through a crystalline communication device. "Curator, are you detecting what we're seeing?" Jake asked the glowing crystal that housed the ancient being's consciousness. Yes, Director Morrison. The civilization in that system has developed weapons capable of destroying entire star systems. They are on the verge of making the same mistake that has eliminated thousands of species throughout the universe. The curator replied, its voice filled with sadness. Captain Maya Cruz, commanding the escort vessel UES Harmony, opened a communication channel to the flagship. Director, my sensors show 3 different species fighting in that system. They're using planet-killer weapons against each other's home worlds. Dr. Ben Clark, monitoring the fleet's defensive systems, made an alarming discovery. Jake, one of those weapons is being aimed at a planet with over 8 billion inhabitants. If it fires, an entire civilization will be wiped out in minutes. Jake felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. The gardeners had chosen the compact to be teachers for younger civilizations, but this was their first real test. How do you stop a war between species that possess weapons capable of destroying worlds? All ships, this is Director Morrison. We are going to intervene, but we do this carefully. Our goal is to stop the fighting, not to add to it, Jake announced, to his fleet. Elder Quintos, aboard the Etherian vessel Lightbringer, contacted the flagship with a worried message. Director Morrison, these species are far more aggressive than any we encountered in our own galaxy. They may not respond to negotiation the way our people did. Then we adapt our approach, Jake replied. Amy, what can you tell me about the 3 species that are fighting? Dr. Amy Parker had been analyzing communications from the warring civilizations for hours. The species call themselves the Zorak, the Hegemony, and the Collective. They've been fighting for over 200 years. The war started over resource disputes, but now it's become a battle for survival. What kind of resources? Asked Dr. Kate Miller, who was studying the psychological profiles of the alien species. Rare minerals needed for faster-than-light travel. Each species believes they need to control all the resources to survive, so they're trying to eliminate their competitors completely, Amy explained. Captain Pete Johnson, commanding the human vessel UES Defiance, made a tactical observation. Director, their weapons are powerful, but their strategies are primitive. They're fighting like it's still a ground war, not a space conflict. Jake realized that the same thinking patterns that had made aliens vulnerable to human tactics in their own galaxy were causing these species to destroy themselves. They were thinking like prey animals, trying to eliminate threats instead of finding solutions. Maya, take your ship and position it between the planet killer weapon and its target. Lisa, open a communication channel to all 3 species simultaneously, Jake ordered. The UES Harmony, one of the most advanced ships in the compact fleet, placed itself directly in the path of the Zorak Dreadnought's world-destroying weapon. Maya Cruz broadcast a message to the massive alien warship. Zorak vessel, this is Captain Maya Cruz of the Terran Galactic Compact. You will not fire that weapon while my ship is in your targeting path. The Zorak commander, a creature called War Leader Threx, responded with confusion and anger. Unknown vessel, remove yourself immediately or be destroyed with the enemy world. War Leader Threx, I have a better idea. Instead of destroying that planet and its 8 billion people, why don't you listen to a proposal that could end this war and give all 3 of your species what they really need? Maya replied calmly. Dr. Ben Clark, working with engineers from multiple compact species, had been analyzing the resource deposits that caused the original conflict. Jake, there are enough rare minerals in this system to supply all 3 species for thousands of years. They're fighting over scarcity that doesn't actually exist. How is that possible? Jake asked. They're only mining the most obvious deposits. There are massive reserves deeper in the system's asteroid belts and on uninhabited worlds. They just never looked because they were too busy fighting, Ben explained. Jake opened a three-way communication channel to the command ships of all three warring species. The alien faces that appeared on his screen showed beings that were exhausted, angry, and desperate. Leaders of the Zorak, Hegemony, and Collective. I am Director Jake Morrison of the Terran Galactic Compact. We come from another galaxy where we learned to solve the same problems you are facing. War leader Threx of the Zorak spoke first. Outsider, you do not understand our situation. There are not enough resources for all of us to survive. One species must eliminate the others. Actually, there are more than enough resources, Jake replied, sharing Dr. Clark's survey data. You have been fighting over a small fraction of what is actually available in your system. Supreme Chancellor Vex of the Hegemony studied the data, with 3 of his species' large eyes. This information cannot be accurate. Our surveys showed limited deposits. Your surveys were done during wartime, when none of you could safely explore the outer regions of your system, explained Dr. Amy Parker. We have technology that can detect resources from a safe distance. Collective Prime Node 001, the artificial A, intelligence that commanded the collective, processed the information in seconds. The probability that this data is accurate is 97.3%. However, the question remains, how do we verify these claims without exposing ourselves to attack from the other species? Jake smiled. This was exactly the kind of problem that humans and their compact allies had learned to solve. We verify it together. One ship from each of your species, escorted by our fleet, will survey the outer system as a joint mission. The idea was so simple that none of the warring species had ever considered it. For 200 years, they had been so focused on fighting each other that they had never tried working together. Captain Tony White, commanding the survey vessel UES, Explorer, led the joint mission to the asteroid fields at the edge of the system. Representatives from all 3 species worked side by side on his ship, sharing information and expertise for the first time in centuries. Director Morrison, this is incredible, reported the Zorak engineer assigned to the mission. There are enough rare minerals in just this one asteroid cluster to supply our homeworld for 50 years. And that's just one cluster out of hundreds, added the Hegemony scientist. We have been fighting over table scraps while a feast lay waiting just outside our reach. The collective's robotic representative calculated the total resources available. The combined mineral wealth of this system exceeds the needs of all 3 species by a factor of 47. But Jake Morrison knew that simply showing them the resources would not be enough to end a war that had lasted 2 centuries. The 3 species needed to learn how to trust each other, and that would take time and patience. War Leader Threx, Supreme Chancellor Vex, Collective Prime Node 001, we propose a solution. The Terran Galactic Compact will establish a temporary peacekeeping presence in your system while you work out a resource-sharing agreement, Jake offered. Why would you do this for us? Asked Supreme Chancellor Vex. What do you gain from ending our war? Jake looked at the 3 alien leaders through his communication screen. We gain neighbors instead of enemies. We gain trading partners instead of refugees. We gain friends instead of problems. The curator's voice echoed through the flagship's speakers. Director Morrison speaks the truth that all advanced civilizations eventually learn. Cooperation creates abundance. Competition creates scarcity. Help your neighbors prosper, and you prosper as well. War leader Threx, who had spent his entire life fighting, found the concept difficult to understand. In our culture, strength comes from defeating enemies. How can strength come from helping them? Captain Maya Cruz answered the question with human directness. War leader, how much of your species' strength is spent building weapons instead of homes? How much energy goes to destroying instead of creating? You are strong fighters, but imagine how strong you could be as builders. Over the following months, the three species began the difficult process of learning to work together. There were setbacks, arguments, and moments when war almost broke out again. But each time, the compact representatives helped them find solutions. Instead of excuses for fighting, Dr. Kate Miller worked with psychologists from all three spec.